Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Space Between podcast. I'm Renae Lipsmeyer, and I am so happy that you've chose to listen to this particular episode. So this episode is going to be a little bit differently because what I'm going to do is try to explain what it is that I am doing with this podcast. So I have been a long time fan of the Dave Matthews Band. My first show was not until 2015, if you can believe that. I'm 43. I have 4 children. Life's been really busy, and I believe that you can be a fan without traveling to see a band. I listening to some of the songs from Dave Matthews Band take me back to some very sweet moments in my life. And honestly, there are some songs that take me back to some really dark moments in my life. But the one thing is the Dave Matthews Band has been in my life for most of my life. So I'm not just talking about this obsession, and I'm talking about something that I've really lived with my whole life. And I think a lot of, listeners and fans feel the same way, that they've grown up with this music. Or at least have grown older with this music. So thank you again for listening to this episode. I'm going to just try to explain to you what is my goal with this podcast. And again, thank you for listening to this because it is listener supported. Where have we heard that from before? But this podcast has been such a leap of faith for me. I have a background in nursing and marketing. And you know what? There was a point in my life where I was just tired. Tired doesn't even describe what I was and how I felt about, what I was doing for a profession. And one moment it just snapped and I said, you know what? I've got to start making me happy instead of making everyone else happy. And so I had to kind of analyze what would that look like? And one thing that, always came up was being present for my family, being present for, my husband, for my children, for all of those things, but also what would make me happy. Well, I love the Dave Matthews Band. I love their music, but what I love most about the Dave Matthews Band is the family culture around this band. I have met lifelong friends through this band that I would have never met had I not gone to a concert, had I not, started playing DMB trivia on Facebook, like all of the things that have just brought these people to me and to each other. And, it's been an amazing ride. And so when I thought about what would make me happy, what makes me happy, the Dave Matthews Band was definitely one of those things, past family and friends, but it was one of those things that I loved, and I knew that I could pursue it with a passion and a valid interest in this, with really no expectations behind it, but for it to be a creative outlet for me and to get to share the love that I have for this band and for this community, because, it is not every day that a band lasts 32 years. It's just not. And so for us to be living at the same time as the Dave Matthews Band, well, it's amazing to me. And so I have decided to move forward in my professional life in becoming a podcaster. And I'm so proud. It sounds so trendy and whatever, but we are in 2023 and I'm not dead. So I can sound like a 20-year-old or I can't sound like a 20-year-old, but I can chase dreams just like a 20-year-old can. I have nothing holding me back. I'm a smart lady. I can do whatever the fuck I want to do. And this is what I've decided I want to do, is talk about the family, the fans of the Dave Matthews Band. And so here we go. Thank you for listening to this. This is a woman chasing her dreams, just looking to do something that makes me happy just for me. And I'm so happy. And I hope along the way that this brings you a smile, brings you some happiness, because ultimately that would just be like the ultimate gift, is with my nursing heart and background, just to know that I'm still helping people. And we do believe that, music is it's just directly therapeutic for a person. I believe in the power of music. And so in a long roundabout way, I'm still, doing some nursing by talking about music and therapy and chasing your dreams and making yourself happy without feeling the guilt behind it. because guilt is one of those things that will trip us up. And, my new saying now is don't trip over what's behind you. Everything that's happened to you before this moment right now, you cannot change. You cannot change it. But what you can change is your attitude, your mind, your goals, what you're going to do with that energy. You're in charge of that. So let's move forward. Let's keep looking forward. Let's do something awesome. And my hope with this podcast is to just share some positive vibes, share positivity weekly about something that brings me so much joy. And I know brings so many other people joy too. So welcome to the Space Between podcast. I am so happy that you're here. So the plan moving forward is changing, but it's getting excited. I have talked with a guy who's a huge Dave Matthews Band fan, and everyone's going to know who it is because he's just amazing. But he has not officially, but almost officially agreed to be the editor for this podcast and for our new YouTube channel. So I'm excited to possibly bring him on board. So there's a lot of things that are changing for this podcast. We've got some very amazing, just amazing guests that are scheduled to come on in the very near future. So like I said, tune in every Thursday. We've got some really big things planned as we get a little closer to tour season. We will all be at Woodlands, we'll be at Dallas, and of course, shout out to Arkansas. We will be here because that's where I live. Shout out Woo Pig Suey. We love the state of Arkansas, especially Northwest Arkansas, which is where Dave is coming. And so we're so excited to have him. But we'll be at several shows this year. So follow us along in the podcast. Be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram. On Facebook, we are under a group. So you're going to have to look for a group called The Space Between. And then it says a DMB family group. That is where we put not just podcast stuff, but this is a group. This is a family group, The Space Between. It started as a group and then it's grown into so much more. So we have almost 5,000 people that are over there on our group. And so join that on Facebook. And then on Instagram, if you're on Instagram, check us out at The Space Between _ POD for podcast. We're also on TikTok, which is honestly, if you want to see the most random things, that's where you're going to find us because we're not ashamed to, try some TikTok dances and put it to Dave music. Oh, hell no. That's the kind of stuff that me and my kids do together. And it's like a bonding experience, but I'm also exposing them to really great music and they're exposing me for the dance skills that I don't have. So TikTok, it's Kiss on the Lipsmeyer, LIPSMEYER. And so again, if you have any questions about this podcast, you can always reach out to us, kissonthelipsmeyer@gmail.com. Okay, so let's start this episode. This Space Between. That is what I've called it. That's the name of the podcast, but also that's the name of this episode. So why in the hell did I name this The Space Between? Well, this is a perfect example of why a song may mean 10 different things to 10 different people. Now, what a song means to someone when they listen to it and when they, are loving it and dissecting it may not be the same meaning that you have. And honestly, it's probably not the same meaning that Dave or whoever wrote the song had intentions for it to mean, because we know obviously he wrote his music with at least an idea of his head of what he was trying to say. Now, as time goes on and this song is so popular, of course it's gotten transformed into many other thoughts. And so there are a lot of, if you Google The Space Between lyrics and then you dissect that down and look for meanings and, just basically fan information that they've put in there. It's really cool to do that to any song. And that's something that I enjoy doing daily because I'm that Dave Matthews Band nerd for sure. But The Space Between is a beautiful song. Of course, it is, I believe it was 2001. It came out on every day. Yeah, I'm right. Yay. Yay for DMB trivia for all of us that are back in the day that used to do trivia together. It's paid off. It's paid off. I don't know in what form, but like mentally, I'm excited that I knew that. So 2001, the album Every Day came out, and this was one of the songs that was on it. Now, as I've listened to this song over the years, because we've had many years with this song, it has evolved in my own head of like what I thought it meant, what it may actually mean after Googling it, and then what I took from it myself. And so that's in a roundabout way how I came up with this is I knew based on just a few lines of this song that this was my theme song. And we'll talk about that more in just a little bit. But so the space between 2001, it starts out, you cannot quit me so quickly. There's no hope in you for me. No corner you could squeeze me, but I've got all the time for you, love. I mean, it just, what beautiful lyrics. And for him to capture your ears with, you cannot quit me so quickly. Like, whoa, what is he saying? He's about to tell us a story. You can't quit him quickly. That's the first thing out of his mouth on the song. So to me, it captures your ears with his lyrics. And yes, I probably do sound like a Dave Matthews Band nerd, how I just broke down those couple sentences. But welcome to the Space Between podcast. That is what I do. I get super nerdy about the Dave Matthews Band. And if you don't like the Dave Matthews Band, well, hey, you know what? Listen in, because from time to time we'll talk about something else. But really, this podcast is exclusively about the Dave Matthews Band, and even more so the Dave Matthews Band family. So this is what we're going to do on this podcast. We're going to break down some songs. We're going to talk about different things. We're going to be at concerts, and we're going to talk to family members on the street. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. But today, I'm just telling you how I came up with my name. So specifically, here's what I got. So this is going to be more of an explanation than what anyone wants. But if you want to know the heart of Renae Lipsmeyer, then this is exactly what happened. Okay. So in 2018, my life changed in many, many ways. And it continued to change.
Hello, everybody. This is Dave Rich from the Eddie Casino Band out in Las Vegas. We're really excited to get this journey going, celebrating our music, our original music, on all platforms. We just released our first single over Labor Day weekend called Eddie Casino. If you're looking for new music, look out for our next single coming out to Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Apple Music. These guys in the band are really excited to get started playing music for you all. If you like Tom Petty, Zach Brown, Jason Mraz, Dave Matthews Band, Rob Thomas, Jimmy Buffett, Pink Floyd, Stapleton, Bare Naked Ladies, Goose, Billy Strings, Sting and the Police, a ton of influences that we bring to the table. Hope you enjoy our music and look forward to seeing you soon live on stage.
Tremendously year and year after that, in good ways and bad ways, in neutral ways. But I always felt like that was a part of me was in this space between what I was and what I was going to be. And I don't know if that sounds really weird, but that's how I felt. And so as I heard this song in that season of my life, it kind of became my theme song, but not in the way this song was written and intended to be. Because again, I think that in this song, he's talking about a girl and, all this stuff. But for me, when I hear the space between the tears we cry is the laughter that keeps us coming back for more. The space between our wicked lies is where we hope to keep safe from the pain. That right there is my theme story, or at least it is my evolving story. It is a story of change for me, and that the space between what I was and what I am going to be, or what I aspire to be, or what I challenge myself to be, I'm in the space between right now. And the space between for me can be anything I motherfucking make it, because I'm in charge of my destiny and what I do. And I'm so proud to be a woman in America. Happy International Women's Month. I mean, look at the things women are doing. And yes, shout out to women. I'm so thankful to be a 43-year-old woman with 4 children and 2 degrees. And, I've done all these things that were acceptable by man. I got those college things and I went on and I became a nurse and blah, 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 blah. But you know what? Who I was serving? I was serving the man all fucking day, every day. And while I was doing that, I got beat down mentally and I didn't know who the fuck I was anymore. And so the space between for me was powerful. It was wonderful. It's when I picked myself up from the ground and I said, no more. My happiness does not come anymore from serving the man over and over and never serving my family or myself. And so when I chose to choose me, choose my family, put them first, not money, do all the things that my family needs, not what, nursing demands, not what the medical community demands, not what life can sometimes demand. So I am in my space between. I am in a shift, or maybe I'm having a midlife crisis. So maybe a lot of people call it that, but I am looking at my space between as a as a as just a space of empowerment for my family, for my daughter who's watching me, for my daughters who are watching me, for my sons who are watching what a woman can do, what a woman can't do. There are eyes on us parents, and we need to remember to chase our dreams because our life is not over. We spend so much time investing in others and others and others and others. And while that is the goal, that's what we're here on life for, I believe, is to serve others and be kind to others and love others. But also, Therapy 101, you got to love yourself. You got to love what you're doing because if you are not happy, you can't make people happy. So if you've learned nothing, learn to start doing some things that you love. And I believe that the fans of Dave Matthews Band, they find what they need here. This is their space between all of the shit that's going on and all of the shit that's waiting for them when they get home or when they take those headphones off and the Dave Matthews Band is not. It's an outlet. This is a powerful outlet for so many people. Music is exactly that. It can be your form of therapy. You don't have to pay money. While therapy is a wonderful thing, and as a medical professional, I do recommend it, but therapy can be in many, many forms. It doesn't have to just be a one-on-one session to talk, hey, what's going on in your life? No, there is music therapy, there's horse therapy, there are so many different forms of therapy to help you discover what can I do to feel empowered, to feel loved, to love on others? What can I do to better myself? And so honestly, in a roundabout way, that is what I'm trying to do with this podcast. But here's what I've done. I've chose something that's made me happy. Um, and make just I don't know. I'm just speechless. I'm so happy to be doing this and I'm so happy that you're listening. So thank you. And I will promise to continue going off on tangents about mental health because honestly, it matters. It just matters. And it's so important. And it's just everything that's inside of me is to maybe that's what nursing was for, was just make me aware. I spent a lot of time in adult psych, working with children, working with Jerry psych. So, therapy is something that I'm very, very fond of, very passionate about. I love it. I believe in it. And this is what the Dave Matthews Band has done for me. It's been a form of therapy. And I know that that was not its intention or, any of the band members' intent, but that's what this music has done for me. It's given me a sense of everything I needed to fill in those gaps. And so I love the Dave Matthews Band. That's what this podcast is about. I love the family behind the Dave Matthews Band. I love it all. So thank you so much for tuning into this episode to see. I really just wanted to explain what the fuck I'm doing. I've started this podcast. You wouldn't believe how many people are like, what? You stopped making money to do a podcast? And I'm like, you know what? Let me chase my dreams for just a little bit. Let's see how this is going to go. And so far it's going really well. So thank you for helping me to chase my dreams. Okay. So there were two more things I wanted to say that were not even about the space between, but sometimes I'll just write down random things like when it hits me. Because if your brain is anything like mine, it's like a constant jukebox, but like one that no one is feeding money. It just goes off at random times, kind of like if you're in a coffee shop and the jukebox goes off and you look like, oh my God, is there a ghost in here? That's my brain. So at any given moment, like any song can just pop in and I'm like, okay, well, here it is. So Samurai Cop came into my head yesterday, and I'll be honest, it's I love that song for like all that it is and stands for, and the way he sang it and the way that it came out, in such a him talking about parenting. But then I love everything about the song. But if I were to, make my set list, it probably wouldn't be on there. Well, it would because it's my husband's favorite song, but for me, like, it's just okay. But here's what I pull from that song: we lose our way in fear and hate. That stands out to me so strongly because I can only speak for myself, but I've lost myself over fear and hate. I've lost my sense of meaning, my sense of purpose, who I was, where I was going, what my goals are. I've lost everything because of fear and usually a combination of hate, which is something that I'm really working on. And hate is not the way. And I love Jesus and I believe that love is the way, but you know, we're all working on bits and parts of ourselves, because none of us are perfect, and we've all got issues, right? But that stood out to me, that we lose our way in fear and hate. Don't let fear or hate make you lose your way. Don't do it. I've done it. It's not worth it. But I can say, being on the other side of that, it does, every trial, every tribulation, every negative thing you go through, there's a reason, there's a purpose for that. We may not know, but you're going to be stronger on the other side if you keep it positive. Don't get down on yourself. Don't lose fear of what could come, make you lose your way. Straight from Samurai Cop right there. Now, this is why I love talking about the Dave Matthews Band, because you can bring any song to the table and there is so many life lessons. And maybe it wasn't intended to be a life lesson. I have no intentions of ever interviewing the band. I think that I would just, knowing me, I'm not a, I don't know. I would probably just clam up into the floor and be like, I don't know. Like, I have no intentions of interviewing the band because I know myself. But I do like to think, what was their meaning behind the song, or what was their thoughts? And because all I can gather is, things that I get on the internet and what fans have written that they feel this way or whatever. And so about what songs meanings are. So, and honestly, if I were to ever meet any of the band members, the last thing I'd want to talk about is the Dave Matthews Band. And I know that sounds crazy, but if I have you and I'm actually able to talk to you, we are not talking about anything Dave Matthews Band, because I would figure that that'd probably be a little boring to the very people that have been singing it for 32 years. So we want to talk about something completely different. I don't know what that is. Probably, hey, dude, I know you probably don't smoke weed anymore, but if you do, like, hey, cool. I know several of you do. Let's go outside and smoke a joint and see what happens. Like, that's my lane right there. I could talk really good then. But guys, thank you so much for listening to just this short podcast on what the fuck I'm doing, what this space between is, what my passions are, what my goals are. Again, my goals are just to report the fans. That's what I want to do. But it really is the fans of the Dave Matthews Band. So that's what the space between is about. I look forward to sharing with you some really awesome topics that are coming up. We have a special week next week because we will be near St. Patrick's Day. So we are going to do some form of So Damn Lucky, although I'm staying away from calling it So Damn Lucky because, again, if you break down that song, it's a beautiful song, but it's not what I want to use to explain lucky or blessed or any, fortunate for all these things. And so stay tuned next week for a really awesome story of some really amazing fans that I can't wait to bring this story to you. So stay tuned. We'll see you next week. Be sure to hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Peace, love, and Dave Matthews Band.